Hello and welcome back. Just a couple of things to after this morning's going live. First of all, um, I went back and I added an extra pair either side of my edge here because I remembered that I was going to glue it to the brooch piece, and so I needed something quite substantial to glue it. So I have fixed the pricking, and I now have two red pins at either end, and that means two pairs on those side by side. Or if you want to put them open, it doesn't matter, it's not going to affect this design at all whether you hang them open or side by side. The other thing I have also done is I have coloured in, or I've turned the inside pins where I want you to add pairs if you want to do the leaves. I've made them green so that you know where the pairs are coming from for your leaves. So that's all been updated, and also there is now a bookmark version if you wanted to make a bookmark. So that's what happened this morning, from this morning. The other thing that I've noticed, modern technology is great as long as you know how to use it, and it is just me on my own doing everything. So what I did notice is that the video had flipped, so the yellow was on the blue side and the blue was on the yellow side. So when you looked at it, and it looked like I wasn't doing my cross stitch correctly because the video was flipped. So I can take a copy of the video and flip it, which I will do, and I'll repost that so you can actually see me doing my cross stitch properly. So after I left, like I say, I added the extra pair, and you can see the thicker edging, which is this one of these. It's going to be the blue, because the blue is the top part of the flag, is going to be glued to a brooch finding. So that's why I decided having a thicker edge was better, because it can hide the glue behind it. I can't think of any other way you could stitch it, but the other thing I'm going to do with this is stiffen it as well, so it's going to create a nice edge to glue it onto the brooch finding. And I did both my sides. Now the yellow shows up better than the blue, but you can really see the difference in the using cross stitch as your ground stitch. It makes it more of a brick shape rather than square. And I'm now ready to start coming down my two trails, and I'm going to be doing a leaf, and I'm going to be adding pairs. So I've got a variegated yellow here, which hopefully is more sunflowery. I didn't want to use this yellow because I thought it would just look too obvious and too much like that yellow. So I'm using a more orangey, creamy yellow for my sunflower. So the way to start it is I'm going to add a pair on, let me get a pin. I'm going to add a pair on this pin and a pair on this pin. So I need to get both my trails started. So in order to do that, I have my pair here and my pair there. They've got a twist on them. One thing I did forget to mention is that when your pair comes out of your cross stitch area, you do need to put a twist on it, otherwise it will come out as two single lines of thread rather than one line of thread. So if you want to do that, that's fine, you don't need to put a twist on. And I keep meaning to do it as a design element, but I never get around to doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross stitch these two yellows together, put a pin in here. Now this pair here, because the line goes over to this pin here, this outside pair here is my worker, so I'm going to put two twists on it because I always put two twists on my trail. So I'm going to cross stitch back through this one. Now I can't do this pin in the center here until I've done this pin because of the highest point rule. So I'm going to go and do exactly the same with this blue pair, and again the right hand pair is the worker because of the direction of the line. So I'm now going to go back through, and the two workers are together, so I'm going to cross stitch these together, but I'm not going to put any twists on them because they're going to create a hole if I do that. So I'm closing the pin, and I'm now going back through on my yellow side, back to the other side. I've reached the new pair's come in. I'm going to twist twice, pin up, and I'm going to cross stitch back through the two yellow, and this is the point that I want to add a new pair. So I'm going to just put a berry pin in the middle there and hang my new pair on that. So then I'm going to cross stitch through it, twist my worker twice and pin up and cross stitch back through to the other side. Now if you are doing a spider instead of the leaf, you wouldn't add the pair, but you would leave a pair out on this pin, the pinhole for the inside of the spider. So now I'm going to go through all of my yellows, but not my new pair that I added, and I'm going to just take that pair off the support pin, and it just drops down and it'll be ready to go into my leaf. So I'm going to leave my worker here for the minute, because I find that if you can make your leaf with as much space as possible, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going back to my blue side because I also need a pair of this pin here. Now don't get confused, because obviously I've just put that pinhole in there as my support pin. Ideally it's probably a good idea to put it in the middle of your leaf like that, so that you can't get mistaken as a pinhole. So I'm taking my worker back across through one, picking up my new pair, twisting twice and pinning up. Back through all my blues, support pin, so I am going to pop it there. So you can see, if I just show you, it's because I put my support pin there, it's quite confusing as to which one is my pin that I need to pin up. So I would suggest, I always usually suggest pinning your support pin somewhere where it's obvious you don't have a pinhole. And because I did that there, you can see why I always suggest that. So now I've cross stitched, hung my new pair on my support pin, cross stitch through, and I'm just going to pop it, pin in my pinhole, and now I'm going back to the other side with all my blue pairs. And it is a bit difficult having your support pin that low. Ideally it's nice to have it above where they're coming in, but it isn't always easy to do that, especially if you've got a lot of pins in the way. Right, so now come back to the other side, put in a new pair from the ground, pinned up, and I'm going back through all my blue, and I'm leaving it there, taking out my support pin, and I now have my two pairs added to do my first leaf. Now I'm going to put a couple of twists on, because these two pairs need to reach down to this point here, the top point of that leaf. So I have made a pinhole at the top and a pinhole somewhere where I think the bottom is. So I'm going to cross stitch my pairs together, pin up, and then I'm going to, first of all I'm going to shorten this one, because the shorter these pairs are, the easier they are to control. So let's see if that's, I can do it that way as well. Okay, I'm going to move my pairs out, this second from the left, I'm going to lengthen considerably. Now, normally when I go to my students, lengthen your bobbin, they just take a little bit off. But as you can see, I've taken a lot off, because this is going to become your weaver for your leaf. So I'm going to take the second from the left, it's going to go over the middle one, under the outside right, over, under, over, under, over and under. So you've done a complete rotation of going under and over. Let me just move that up so you can see it. Okay, so from this second position on the left, it went over this middle bobbin, under the outside right, over the top of the outside right, under this middle bobbin, over, under, over and under. So when you get to that point of having gone all the way across and all the way back, you're going to now stop and tension up. So what you're basically doing is weaving. So if you went over the top of this middle bobbin on one direction, you want to go under it the following direction. Now these two pairs on the outside control the width of your petal, your leaf. So it's a good idea to keep them short because they're easier to control. And I sometimes have to put everything on to hold them, so I will put my arm across all of them. And the first thing you want to do is get rid of the loop on that one, that side. And that's not actually being held down. If you've got big fingers, you're lucky. I haven't, so it has to be holding it as possible, as tight as possible. So I'm going to pull, and once you've got it, that edge secure, you can push it away from you. Now the first couple of goes, you do have a bit of saving grace and you can actually manipulate them with a pin. So my last movement was under, so I'm going over, under, over, under, over, under. So before pulling anything up, this is why you have this thread loose. Before pulling anything up, you want to secure and make sure that these two threads here are tight. So I'm just going to make sure I've got any loops. See here, I've got this big loop here, so I'm just going to pull it and then push it up to the top. So, and basically once you've done that, it's just keep going. Now I did think about cheating and making this thread double, but the worry I had was finishing off the ends. Would they be too bulky at the bottom? So I just kept this as a single strand. So this one's got a little bit long, so I'm going to make it a bit shorter. This is why I tend to do all my leaves with as much space as possible. So I'm just set. And this thread is a little bit fluffy, so just bear that in mind when you're coming to do it. So it is catching a little bit. This one, I think it's going to take me a little while to do. Now, if they don't go perfectly, don't worry, because you'll do one and it'll be absolutely spot on, and then you'll come to do another one and it won't be. So it's just going to be a question of undoing it, going away, having a cup of tea, and redoing it. And so it's just literally under and over. So, there's a bit up the corner there. You can just see at this point here where I just didn't pull it tight enough, but I'm not going to get overly worried, because otherwise I don't think I get this leaf finished, and I want to show you the end. So I'm just going quite fast. This end bobbin is giving me a bit of trouble again. I used a variegated because I'm hoping that at some point the orange will kick in, but I'm not sure it will with this bobbin because it looks quite pale on all of it. So you want to keep everything really loose until you come to the moment where you're pulling up. And also with this, I think I'm probably about, maybe not quite halfway yet. This is going to be a bit like watching paint dry at the moment. So all I'm doing is just going under and over, under and over. And I'm going to start now pulling a little bit tighter to start pulling in the bottom of the leaf. You've got a little bit of the variegated. I'm going to have to keep an eye on which thread is where for the next one to hopefully get a bit of variety in these leaves. So now this isn't a perfect one because I'm rushing it. So as you can see, I'm now pulling a little bit tighter, and it is pulling the leaf in. And it's this bobbin and this bobbin that controls the shape of it, and this one is a bit annoying. So. Now when you come to finish it, you want to make it just a little bit longer than you actually need it. Right, I think I'll do a couple more rows. Right, so I think I'm going to finish it there. So in order to finish it, I'm going to take this bobbin over, under, over and under, and leave it in the position it came from. I'm then going to take a pin, and I think I'm just going to make a pinhole slightly higher up than the length of the leaf, and then I'm just going to give everything a bit of a tension up, and it pulls everything into shape. So that's my first leaf done. And now at this point I wouldn't ever travel with my pillow, so it's going to be, once you start, this leaf isn't secure at the moment. It's not secured until we've done our 8 pair crossing, and we've then done our other leaves and finished them off at the bottom. So let me just show you again how you add a pair. So this next pin, I'm not going to add a pair. I'm going to just leave the pin with nothing on it. So I'm going to just go back through all my pairs, take my next one in, twist my worker twice, pin up, back through all my bright yellows. So you can see normally you would leave a pair out on this pin here, but I'm not, and I'm going to add a pair in on that pin. So I'm going to try and find one with a bit more colour in it. So cross stitch through, pin up. It's going to get super crazy here because we've got so many pins. Okay, back through all my yellow. I don't have a tendency of taking my support pin out until I reach the other side. Oh, need another pair that side. And I also don't have a tendency of tensioning anything up either, because as you can see, even though it looks quite bulky there, by me just going back in my cross stitch pulls the bulkiness out. Right, so I can take that one off. So that's the first one for this leaf, and I need to do a second one. So I'm going to use the same pinhole, cross stitch through, and this trail, because we're not leaving any of the yellow pairs out, this trail is going to get thicker. If you aren't happy with that, you can leave a pair out and then put a pair back in on the other side, but it's literally going to be for a few pins, and then it will start thinning out again when we start leaving the pairs out for the ground on the other side. So I've gone through, I'm going to remove my support pin. Here's my second pair for that leaf. I'm not going to pin up here because if I had a pin here, that's cutting off that little area which I can use in order to tension up my leaf. The other great thing is, if you find this leaf is in the way, you can just nudge it over there like that, and then I can turn my pillow around and do my leaf that way. And this one here, let's just, I've put a twist on, and I'm just going to do my cross stitch. Now, So that's my cross stitch, and remember you want the second one from the left, and this first one on the left has more colour on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate the threads a little bit more and put an extra twist on that one. And now if I cross stitch, you'll see this bobbin is in that second left position. So that's then going to be the one that is going to create all the colour, and the others are just going to keep a shape. So you do an extra twist. So it could be an extra twist there. You cross stitch through, put your pin in, and you're ready to start your next flower, petal, leaf, whatever you want to call it. So that would then go over and under, and then you can start on your leaf. So hopefully that's shown you how to do your leaves. I'm going to come back, I'm going to give you some time to get your thread, do the pricking, get to the point where you've done your 4 leaves. So you're going to add a pair on here and a pair on there for this one, and then 2 pairs on this one, so that you have 4 leaves done. And then on Tuesday about 11 o'clock I'm going to come and show you an 8 pair crossing and an easy way of doing it, and hopefully then you'll be well on your way to finishing. All right, I'll see you then.